Hey, welcome. We're going to be talking about vendors and how to effectively assess and choose vendor tools. This is really kind of the basics of getting your MarTech in the right place, right? And the cost of failed MarTech is massive. Fail to deliver, and most do fail to deliver their promised value. This statistic isn't just a number. It represents billions in wasted investments, which mean money going out, nothing coming back. And more importantly, countless hours of frustrated teams struggling to leverage tools. Why? Because most organizations, 84%, are highly strategically dysfunctional. And it looks like this. They say, my company does not have clearly defined strategic objectives. They have too many. They're siloed. They're conflicting. And worse, they are difficult to map to our marketing plans. Finally, no one is clearly responsible. That's what we talk about. Is a lot of times you may be responsible, but who's going to be accountable? Whose head's going to roll when it doesn't go right? The question is why? And why is what we always have to ask. The 5 whys, for example. There are 3 patterns of failure. One of the first patterns is what we all fall victim to because we like the old bright, shiny object. You know, the shiny object syndrome is something that says 40% of MarTech features go unused. 67% teams can't justify the tech. 72% of companies lack a documented process. Whoa. And then there's the data silo mystery, right? Why is everything in a silo? Why does it turn out to be a disaster? Because it creates an inability to track customer journeys across the channels. It is incomplete or inaccurate reporting, duplicate or conflicting customer data, inefficient manual data reconciliation. We can't ever get to the bottom of what the real true messages are. And compliance and privacy risk. And then finally, and this is a big one that goes unnoticed a lot, the skills canyon. 65% of marketing teams lack the technical skills to fully utilize their marketing stacks. Only 24% of organizations have a formal training program. Think about that. And 82% lack or cite the lack of expertise in-house. So we take a structured approach. Well-informed, well-designed, well-executed, well-measured, well done in 4 steps. The first step is process-first methodology. The second one is we get to the data architecture as the foundation of our MarTech. Third, skills and capability development. Get your people on board. Let them know. Don't keep it a secret. And fourth, and this is always the case, isn't it? Measured and methodical implementation. You can't mess up here. If you make a mistake early, you will see it haunt you throughout the process. Organizations following this create team results. Higher adoption rates, reduction in time to implement, which can be very important, achievement of pipeline targets, improvement in marketing efficiency, and increases in qualified leads. This is all about the idea of all of us come together to get the bright idea off the ground. So what we have here is sometimes I fell in love with the dashboard and endorsed my ROI. Sounds like something you pick up at the grocery store checkout counter. But what we're saying here is it's how do you avert the loss in the gloss? You know, the fancy dashboard that doesn't necessarily get to the ROI issue. It's the whiz bang without the nuts and bolts performance. So let's open up the doors on this. Here's your friendly sales vendor. You're the guy that's coming in to tell you all about what he's got in his bag to show you to kind of solve all your problems. He says seamless integration. What does that mean? Well, we have to think about that in deeper terms. For example, insufficient API rate limits lead to, get this, failed synchronization operations causing data inconsistencies, sync interruptions during critical times, we can't afford that, unreliable data flow between systems, lost updates, and potential data corruption, and engineering teams forced into constant monitoring and manual intervention. Wow, that is a mouthful. It's all because we just buy the idea that we're getting seamless integration when we're not. The second big one is best-in-class statement. Everybody says best-in-class. What is that? Well, it should be a superior product within a category based on performance, features, capabilities, and value. It suggests that it offers the best overall cost-benefit ratio within its category. And it does not, though, mean that it's the best product overall. just for what it does. Finally, in marketing, it might be the top performer among its competitors, but not for your situation. So the best in class is a little bit of a deception sometimes, and we have to dig a little deeper. That's really the message here, isn't it? We have to get to the bottom of what we're trying to get at. And oftentimes they'll say, hey, we're on top of it. We got automation. We got rules-based logic. We got all kinds. When in fact, what they're saying is, hey, we got AI hanging all over the place. We're on top. And they probably aren't. For our purposes, we think of AI as a cognitive medium, if you will. It's a means for us to think through problems and to use it to help us solve issues, a way of interacting with and manipulating information. Sounds a little crazy, but that's what we're out to do. So we do the vendor claim reality check. For every vendor claim, apply this 3-part filter. Number 1, specificity test. Number 2, the validation test. Number 3, the proof test. The specificity test says, can the vendor provide exact metrics, timeliness, and examples, not testimonials, documentable performance. Testimonials can be, Fred says we're great. We are looking for what applies to our specific situation. The validation test says, will the vendor provide the names of people of similar organizations facing similar challenges? And the proof test says, I love this one because I've used it. I've been there. I'm a consultant. Can the vendor demonstrate the capability with your actual data in a controlled environment? I have a product that's good. I am probably going to be able to do that. If it doesn't fit you, it's not a fit for us, and you shouldn't be buying it. So when we think about this, let's think about it in terms of a little mini case we're going to run through real quickly. When we think about the real-time reality mini case, a client was evaluating customer data platforms. 3 vendors claimed real-time data processing. Here's what that actually meant. She says, what exactly do you mean by real-time? Vendor A says, updates every 15 minutes. Vendor B says, true, real-time for some data types, batch processing for others, partially true. And vendor C says, real-time processing with 2-second latency, actual real-time. Vendor 3 is probably onto a detailed answer that will give you some reason to say, yeah, maybe we can do something like that. Plus, they've laid it on the line, said that's what they can do. Too often we think of this issue as kind of a performance theater. You know, it's most of the time demos are really not demos, are they? But rather they are theater. They're under controlled conditions. And our client over there is saying, how do I cut through the song and dance? Well, one of the ways is to put on your X-ray glasses and ask for a day 2 demo. And that would be, show me what this looks like after 6 months of real data with a typical user who hasn't been trained by your team. Yeah, it's a little crazy, but it puts them out there in terms of testing the actual performance of their app, of their equipment, of whatever it is that they're selling you. Request the error demo. Yeah, what happens when the process fails? I want to know. You should know. You've had it happen. What do? Demand the integration demo. Show me this working with our actual CRM, our CRM data. Our sample, not your sample data. So that really what it comes down to a lot of times. So that leads us to a very simple kind of thing. We're looking for the red flags. When a vendor fails to show the vulnerability of their goods, and everybody has them, it's probably a red flag. Red flag number 1, vague timeliness. They say soon, in the near future. It's on our roadmap. That feature's coming out soon. Second, generic case studies, success stories that could apply to any industry. They're not to yours, and you're looking for specificity, remember? Third, reluctance to provide trials, pressure to buy now without adequate testing. Just never worth it. Fourth, feature deflection, answering integration questions. How's this going to work? With feature lists to let you think your imagination that they have a solution. After all, when we're talking to someone, we really do want this stuff to work. We want it to work and work fast and put it in place and get going. Fifth, reference restrictions. I'm a consultant, and oftentimes I have said our clients prefer to remain confidential. That's because I don't necessarily want to, oftentimes, tell them about my clients. On the other hand, I don't have to tell them the name of the client. I have to reflect to them what it is they're looking to face in the future that I may have already faced. What have I done? What has my stuff done to make it work better? That's why the reference restrictions are a little bit flimsy. So at the end of the day, what we're really looking to do is we're trying to get to this notion that the frameworks we've discussed will serve you throughout your careers, not just in this course, because vendor evaluation is a core executive competency. Technology changes, but principles of strategic assessment remain constant. Your upcoming vendor spotlight assignment, those presentations will put some of these concepts into practice, hopefully, and ask, as you research your vendor, please put those principles to work. Next up, we'll be talking about strategic alignment and procurement criteria. Thanks. Always a pleasure. See you soon.